everybody. I'm Nikki Novak, and welcome to Fandango's big ticket interview for Hurry Up Tomorrow. Hi.
Hi.
I love that you just gave me an applause for that. You're a nice Canadian boy.
Yeah, exactly.
We know we're both Canadian. First question is to you. This is obviously a companion piece to your album. Where did that idea come from that it needed a film to sort of complete your journey?
The film came first. The album didn't exist. So this music was kind of, we were scoring and I guess writing music to picture. So yeah, the idea came from a real life incident that had happened, and I always saw it as a film. And so the film came first, and then the music, and yeah.
That's incredible that came first, because this is different for you. I mean, this is obviously your first feature lead. Wondering for you, like when you are obviously on stage, you just performed at CinemaCon, you're on stage and you're getting the vibe from the crowd. They're feeding you. How is that for you as a difference, and as a performer, how does that affect you?
Well, you never know, right? Like you never know if the room's gonna embrace the performer, and especially it's a surprise performance. It's not like people bought tickets to see me. So, there's that silence prior to it where you're just like, I don't know what's going to happen. You go out there and you see people cheering, and you see, one person getting up, and you feed off that energy. So I think for me, it's all about energy. It's like, you came in and you're automatically like, I'm from Aurora, Scarlet. That energy is important to someone like me, and I'm sure any artist.
Yeah.
Jenna, this is your character is very enigmatic from what I understand. She's very mysterious. So wondering for you if you can just talk a little bit about her, but also as an actress, did this differ for you because it's something that we've never seen before? Did it change it for you, your experience on this film?
Yeah, definitely. And I think also because this film, there was a very solid script there, but also every day we came on set, if it was a different environment, a different feeling, or maybe something wasn't feeling right about a scene, we kind of changed Annie's place in Abel's life, so I kind of was taking on different forms, and I think that kind of helps the mysterious quality that she has, because you can't really follow where she's coming from, or who she is, or what she means to Abel. So that was very exciting to me, and, perplexing to me, and I think it's, it's true.
In a good way, though?
Yeah, in a good way. I mean, I think it's good to kind of, we all were kind of putting ourselves out there, and it's a very intimate film, so that is for somebody who has been doing this for over a decade and knows what it's like to be on the set. It was so great to be able to, there were some days where we would just sit and talk and have conversations about the characters for hours, and that was just something that we did. And fortunately enough, Trey created an environment that felt like that was comfortable and encouraged, and it was just much more of an exploration of a person than I had anticipated coming into it, which was so thrilling and so exciting. So, yes, Annie is very sensitive and vulnerable and cares about Abel more than anyone else ever would. And he realizes that, and he's having a hard time acknowledging that. So I think it's kind of my role to get in his face a little bit.
Wow. You wrote this, obviously, with Abel. You wrote it together. I know you're a cinephile. Obviously, you're a cinephile. You've talked about your influences in film. Did the two of you talk together? Did you nerd out over any films? Were there any films that you said, we kind of want to maybe draw a little bit of inspo? And what were they, if that was the case?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say we were saying earlier that at first it was just organic that we did love films. We're both cinephiles. We have like-minded tastes. But first it started just like Abel had this idea and we were both connecting over that, and then got creative juju and super inspired and excited and bouncing back and forth. And then naturally influences started filtering in. And, it ranged from Persona to Raging Bull to Purple Rain to Toby Dammit and Audition and you name it.
And Beetlejuice, of course.
Yes, of course. Possession.
Yeah, Possession.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. This is a version of yourself that you're playing. What parts of yourself do you feel like showed up on screen, and what parts were an extension of yourself?
It's crazy. I think the only part where I felt like I saw myself was the incident that we kind of recreated. And it was kind of the only difficult thing to watch when I was watching, the first cut back, because it felt like I transported to that moment. But aside from that, everything else felt like, from the brainchild of Trey. Like me and Trey created something, and then he found himself in the character, which is really important. And we would swap traumas.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I got to actually play a character. I didn't really play myself. I played.
Wow.
And it was basically, a character recreated that stemmed from like personal truth and trauma,
Of course,
And it was like, we do these long therapy sessions and talk about his history so I could get to know him more and share information. And then for me, it was kind of thinking of a character for if Abel made the wrong decisions in his life, and kind of went down
Alternate
a different
reality.
path. Yeah, exactly. An alternate reality. And
But what is reality?
beautiful.
That is the question I'm thinking that this movie answers.
That's what
was
it
all a
asks at
dream.
the end of the credits. What is reality?
I just spoiled your whole movie for you. How did I just do that?
I was going to say, now that you're saying that, it kind of feels like Annie and Abel are kind of two extreme ends of the spectrum of Abel. Incredibly warm and incredibly cold.
Damn.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, we're getting deeper. This has been described as something we've never seen before. It is something we've never seen before. A full-length feature film based on, that came first before the album, but that there's this companion piece. So can you just describe, and any one of you can answer this, how is this going to be for an audience, something that we haven't seen before? In what way are people going to experience something that they've never seen before?
I tried to design the film to where, regardless if you listen to Abel's music and album or not, it's hopefully a great special film on its own. But I think if you do listen to his music and you do listen to that album, they're beautifully interlinked and enrich each other. Sometimes just a scene in the movie that another viewer would just assume is a scene, a part of our narrative, could be a song on the album with the lyrics of what his character's headspace is actually at. So Abel tied them in together in a way with me that I just thought was really beautiful and really unique. And like the only comp we had was like Prince with Purple Rain, but this is not Purple Rain. This is something very different. And I think that for me, like when I started making films, the goal, my favorite filmmakers are auteurs who make films only they could make, and singular, fresh things. And those were what excited me. So for this, talking with Abel, it was like, I really feel like we can make something we've actually never seen before. And that's like the most creative ambition for me to have for doing something,
Obviously, you're working with a musician. I don't know, sometimes actors listen to music to get into character. What were sort of things you were listening to on set? Were there any songs written? Was it the album that Abel created? And what were you listening to? And did you two bond over music?
Yeah, I pretty much was only listening to Abel during production. No, that's fine. No, I enjoyed it. It was, not to give too much away, but it is a really big part of Annie's experience in the film. So, yeah, I think a lot of my prep and preparation is somebody who's supposed to know Abel so immensely well. No matter what I was doing, it was either his music was playing, or if I had some time in the car, I would watch a music video, or pick up on certain things, just stuff like that. I just wanted to familiarize myself with the two different sides of Abel as much as possible. Kind of strange talking about it in front of you, but I was kind of stalking you for a second, but that is kind of my job. So.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, how does that make you feel?
That's a compliment. When you watch the film,
it'll make a lot of
sense. It makes a lot of sense
yeah.
when you watch the film.
It sounds like you all really had to get to know each other on a very, very deep and intimate level. And sometimes film timing, pacing of budgets, it doesn't really allow that. I don't know why I want to ask this, but what did you learn about yourselves through exploring each other? Does that make sense?
One thing I would say, and just based off of the first half of that question, is films are so strange because you meet these people, you are really close with them, and you see them almost every second of every day, it feels like, for 2 months, and then there's a good chance you never see these people again. Or when you do see them, it's very distant, and it's very, so by the time you get to the end of the job, you're kind of having to say goodbye, and it's tough. Whereas this one, I think because, my feeling and my understanding is we knew that this was a vulnerable story, but then also, they're so kind and warm and sweet that it just felt like we all had an understanding. We all came into it knowing what was going down, and we knew what was required of us to pull this off in a way that felt right and authentic to us. So I felt like we all kind of had our guards down.
Yeah, for sure.
We all were instantly vulnerable and open, and just shared a lot of personal, qualities about ourselves very instantly. And I think it's very obvious in the film, or, what we created, because it was just, we weren't hiding from each other. There wasn't this, we were professional, but it was just very revealing, I think, in a lot
like
of
a
ways,
giant
emotionally.
therapy session.
Yes.
100%.
Thank you all so much.
How am I getting?
This was a therapy session. I want to join this group. Thank you so much, and
Thank you so much.
congratulations on the
Such a
film.
pleasure.
Can't wait to see it.